See, Sarah, I had mastered making commitments to other people and keeping my commitments, but I had never made a bold commitment to myself. And so I did the three things that I was lacking. I celebrated me, I forgave me, and I made commitments to myself. And I did it every day, Sarah, every day,
Wow.
every morning for 6 months straight.
And then what did you see?
I saw a caterpillar in the chrysalis, but I knew that even in the cocoon, that I was a butterfly in formation. I gave myself permission to fly with bruises.
Mm.
I
It's so
gave myself,
powerful because, we are all so wounded.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then, it doesn't matter what background you come from, doesn't matter how you were brought up. Obviously, all our conditions are different, but we all walk with wounds. And for you to be able to say this and to be able to transform in the way that you have is so unbelievably powerful.
man. It talks about the power of the human spirit.
Mm.
When I found out, when I subscribed to the fact and got clear that the human spirit, my human spirit is unbreakable. My human spirit isn't keeping notes. It isn't checking on the circumstances around me to have circumstantial faith based on the circumstance, based on the environment. I'll have faith, I'll have belief. My human spirit isn't waiting to check the climate of social justice or to check the political climate or to check the health climate. My human spirit is saying, I am here to rise and to serve. When I got that, I didn't have to check the temperature to see if I could be a change agent. I didn't have to check the climate to see if I could be a unicorn. I didn't have to check the news to see if I could be brilliant or effective. That I didn't have to check anything, that I simply needed to make the decision to today climb through my healing, climb through my healing, allow my healing to come on this journey with me, to be the wounded healer myself,
Mm.
to allow my imperfection to touch someone else's imperfection and to allow us to have a perfect connection. When I figured that out, when I figured out that I could be a Dora the Explorer, still on my journey of discovery while being of great contribution to someone. When I figured out that it wasn't my perfection in getting it right that made me so attractive, it was in my constant commitment to touch the next best version of myself that made me so attractive. When I figured that out, and when I stopped keeping score of why I couldn't do it, there's always a really long list of why you think you can't do that next big thing.
Mm.
There's always a long list of why you can discount or disqualify yourself. But all you need is one reason why. One reason why you want to do it. One reason why you got to do it. So I didn't try to measure the list. Here are all the reasons why I can't do it. And I didn't try to match that with the same number of reasons why I never had the same amount of powerful reinforcement as I had negative talk. I just need one good reason, just one good reason to get up.
I mean, it's an amazing, amazing story. How, though, did you manage to get out of that scarcity mindset into such an abundant mindset that you have today?
Mhm. I learned early on, Sarah, that wherever my mind was, my lifestyle was going to follow.
Mm.
That you can change my home, you can change my car, you can change my bank account balance. If my mindset is the same, everything will recalibrate back to where I'm thinking. I will sabotage the car. I will run down the house and I will spend all the money until I recalibrate back at zero, if that's where my mindset is. And so, to answer your question, I begin to change my mental zip code. I changed my mental zip code so that everything else had to follow. Because when your mindset changes, everything has to follow.
Mm.
Everything has to fall in order. And so I said earlier that I'm functionally dyslexic. It would take me about 3 months to finish a book because I read faster now, but I don't still don't read super fast.
Yes.
But I read a lot slower then. This was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I picked up a book and I read the book. It took me about 4.5 months to finish the book. Um, and then I read it again. And every time I read the book 6 times. Every time I read the book, I used a different highlighter. And this man had a thinking about abundance and prosperity. And it was like, no habla español. Like, I was like, what is he talking about? I don't think I'd ever heard the word abundance
Yes.
until I was like 26. I was like, what does that mean? And so I kept reading it, kept reading it. And I would go to the dictionary and I would try to figure out this word and what does this word mean? And so I just began to, and it wasn't pretty. Sarah, it wasn't pretty. And, if I was, it was, I used to call myself a slow learner, and now I call myself a thorough learner. And so I would just sit and I realized that there was this world out there. And so I began to read each book 4 times. Every book I read, I still do that today. I can still show you books I read 4 times so that I make sure I can get as much as I can out of the book because I know I missed something the first, second, and third time. And then I began to do this. I learned when I was 21, a minister at a spiritual center that I went to, she said, sweetheart, don't be so rushed to learn to memorize the entire spiritual journal that you're reading.
Yes.
We're reading a spiritual book. She said people like to remember the whole book, memorize it, and quote it so they show up and sound intelligent. She said if you want your life to change, Lisa, read one verse, don't read another one until you learn to live that verse.